Have you ever heard of the tale of Bluebeard? Bluebeard was a wealthy and powerful man of noble birth who had been married 6 times to beautiful women who all mysteriously vanished. He then married bride number 7 and told her that he had to leave the country and left her the keys to his palace. He told her that she can open any room that she wants except the underground chamber. The young bride eventually lost the battle with her curiosity, and she opened the underground chamber to find the room full of blood and Bluebeard's 6 wives hanging from hooks on the wall. Belle Gunness was nicknamed the real-life Lady Bluebeard because accidents and death followed her everywhere she went. I'm Marina. With me I have my best friend Laura, and this is Grim.
This episode is brought to you by Amazon Prime. There's nothing sweeter than baking cookies during the holidays. With Prime, I get all my ingredients delivered right to my door, fast and free, no last-minute store trips needed. And of course, I blast my favorite holiday playlist on Amazon Music. It's the ultimate soundtrack for creating unforgettable memories. From streaming to shopping, it's on Prime. Visit Amazon.com/Prime to get more out of whatever you're into.
This episode is brought to you by Shopify. Do you have a point of sale system you can trust, or is it a real POS? You need Shopify for retail. From accepting payments to managing inventory, Shopify POS has everything you need to sell in person. Go to shopify.com/system, all lowercase, to take your retail business to the next level today. That's shopify.com/system.
Is this grim? I don't know. I feel like I'm in not a fairy tale. Maybe a grim fairy tale.
I think that's a different podcast, Laura.
Yeah. Great show, though. I think it's called Grimm. It's
like the Brothers Grimm.
No, I was thinking of Once Upon a Time.
Oh, that's also Grimm, though, isn't it? It's like the Brothers Grimm.
Yes, but the show on ABC.
Right, but it's based on Brothers Grimm. Anyways.
Welcome to Grimm. At no point did I know where that intro was going.
We were on a journey.
We were.
It ends in blood and feathers.
Apparently.
It's been a long time since we said that.
Yeah.
It's been a long time coming, but it's you and me. Today we're talking about the life and crimes of Belle Gunness, who is also known as the Black Widow of Laporte. She got a lot of catchy names.
Wait. She's hold on. I thought it was him, Bluebeard.
Bluebeard,
I
yes.
said Blackbeard.
That was a tale. And Belle Gunness has been nicknamed the real-life Lady Bluebeard.
Okay. Wait, maybe I need to listen to your intro again. So I really was listening. Mm-hmm. It was, you told me the whole story.
I told you the tale of Bluebeard.
Okay.
And now I'm saying Belle Gunness was nicknamed.
Okay.
The real-life Lady Bluebeard.
I'm up to speed now.
You're with me now?
I'm up to speed. It was the gender threw me off.
Okay, sorry.
Okay, I'm up to speed now.
Well, if any of our other gremlins were confused, they're with us now.
Yeah, you're welcome.
We're all together.
We're here. Yep.
So ironically, I was reading the book on this case when it was suggested to us by our gremlin, Amanda D. So
thank you, Amanda.
I'm going to give her credit for being telepathic and suggesting the case while I was in the middle of researching it. So
crazy.
Thanks, Amanda.
Yeah.
Nice and it's from
Amanda.
the 1800s. It's not even like it's
favorite.
Like it's not even like it was recent for her to be like, "Hey, did you see this on the news?" Like it's from a really long time ago. So, way to go, Amanda D.
Did you see this on the papyrus?
On the
papyrus?
Yes. Okay, so for this case, I read the book The Farm from Hell: The True Story of Belle Gunness, Indiana's Lady Bluebeard Men Butcher by Genevieve Ortiz. The title really leaves a lot to the imagination. And I also read a good sci-fi article. I'm not going to read the title for that because it just gives...
Okay.
It requires explanation.
Okay.
And then there was a full history from the Norwegian Ridge.
Damn.
Mm-hmm. Before we start, we have Patreon shout-outs. We have so many of them because you guys are the best.
So good.
We love you.
We love you.
First up, we have Christina B.
Christina! We love you so much. We love you, Christina.
Jill H. Jill H. We love What was that?
I thought you said gel. And I was like, that's not it.
Laura
and so I waited
made
for
a
you to
funny
say
face.
I waited for you to say the name first, so I wasn't like gel.
Jill H. We love you.
We love you, Jill.
We love Jill too. But we love you, Jill. You're the best. Thank you so much. Anna M. Anna. Woo, woo, woo. We love you so much.
We love you, Anna. Thank you.
Liz B. We
Woo,
love you so
woo.
much. We love you so much, Liz. Thank
love
you.
you.
Monica R.
Monica.
We love you so much.
We love you, Monica.
Thank you. You're the best. Karen M.
Karen.
Karen M. We love you so much.
We love you,
Thank
Karen.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Elaine. We love you so much.
We love you, Elaine.
And Laura is convinced that she read a message somewhere that said that it's Elaine's birthday, maybe,
or
so
something. A
happy
special
birthday,
shout out for Elaine. And I don't know where I read that message.
We love you, Elaine.
We
So
love you extra.
if Laura didn't dream that, feel free to message us again, and so we can find it. But Elaine, thank you so much. We love
Elaine,
you.
We love you.
Sandy G.
Sandy.
We love you so
Woo, woo.
much.
We
Thank
love
you. Gabriel D.
Gabriel.
Actually, it might be Gabrielle.
Oh, well, how is it spelled? See, this is why I wait. Was it one L?
It's two L's. It's
That's
Gabrielle.
Gabrielle.
Gabrielle. I'm sorry. Okay.
Okay. You
I
get
only
one.
had 1 Celsius today. Gabrielle D.
Gabrielle,
Woo,
we love
you
you.
so much. Please
We
don't
love you,
hate me.
Gabrielle.
I'm the worst.
Yeah.
Kylie O.
Kylie.
We love you. We love you so much, Kylie. Thank you. Lest.
Lest.
Lest. We love you so much. Unless it's Lesty. It's Leste.
Okay. Lest seems correct.
Lest. We love you so. We love you so
We
much.
love you.
Heather B.
Heather.
We
Woo,
love
woo.
you so
We love
much. Laura's like, woo, 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 woo. We like to yodel for our Patreon shoutouts. Jenny F. Yodeling.
Jenny.
We
I
love
knew
you
you were gonna do
so
that.
much, Jenny F. You're the best.
Jenny, we love you.
Thank you so
Jenny.
much. Is she Jenny from the block?
Oh, I went Forrest Gump.
I went Jennifer Lopez plus the Forrest Gump accent. She tasted like cigarettes from the block. Jenny F, we love you so
We
much.
love you, Jenny.
Thank you. Nicole.
Nicole.
We love you
We
so
love you,
much,
Nicole. Thank
Nicole. You're the best.
Thank you.
Isabella P.
Isabella. We love you,
We
Isabella.
love you so much.
Thank you very much.
Abby S.
Abby.
Also, I've never seen Abby spelled like that. I like it. It's ABEI.
Oh.
It's very unique.
Oh, yeah.
Abby S, we love you.
We love you.
We love you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Justin C.
Justin.
Justin,
We love you.
We love you so much.
Thank you.
I say the names enthusiastically like I'm sneezing.
But she like, yeah,
Angie
she
M.
makes me jump.
Angie M. We love you
Angie.
so much.
That's like Antium.
or yeah,
It made me think of it.
very
Antium,
relevant with
Antium.
Wicked.
Yes, it's on my mind.
Angie M. We love you so
love you, Angie.
much. Thank you. That was all of them. We love you
Wow.
so much.
It's so
You guys are
cool.
the best.
And I love it when new people come into the Discord, not just because we get the peach, but it's just so fun. And
The Sassy Peach is where it's
I
at.
love it. Love the Sassy Peach. And it's just awesome. And I love it.
Oh, and here's a pre-episode reminder because I think sometimes it gets lost at the end. If you have bought us a coffee, a wine, or a Celsius, and you have not messaged me your address and your name, please, because like it's weird for me to send a sticker to like
mail.
Duckmaster 103. Like I don't think the mailman wants to read that, or mail woman.
Yes. Yeah. God, you and the genders today.
Sorry. Yeah, so send me your address. I don't care
Yeah.
if you send it on Instagram, Patreon,
Yep.
Buy Me a Coffee. I think you can message us privately on
Yes.
Buy Me a Coffee.
Yes.
Send me a carrier pigeon, smoke signal. Just I need the information to send it out.
Yes. And we want to get you the sticker.
We sure do.
Yeah.
Okay.
Ooh, we covered a lot.
Yeah, there's I'm gonna apologize in advance. There's a lot of like Norwegian names in here.
Oh my God.
And I'm bad at words.
We all went through that.
Words in general. So here we go. Brynhild Paulsdatter Storset was born on November 11th, 1859 to Paul Storset and Berit Oldstader in Selbu, Norway.
You just nailed that without
Thank you.
that was perfection. Well, I mean, I don't speak Norwegian, but
Somebody in
but it
Norway right now is
sounded-
like, she mispronounced every single letter.
I shouldn't say you nailed it. I should say you said that very confidently.
Thank you.
And smoothly. I don't know if it was correct.
Confidence is the key.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Her middle name, which it's Paul's daughter, it means Paul's daughter in Norse, which is a Scandinavian custom. I thought
Is
that
it
was
spelled
a fun
Paul's like Dotter?
Datter.
Okay, that's pretty close.
Pauls Datter. I thought that was like a fun little grim fact
cute.
for those of us
It's like
who
Johnson.
don't speak Norse. Yeah, like John's son.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's another one.
A lot of them.
Yeah. And I can't think of it now.
Nope.
Paul was a stonemason and sharecropper, and Barrett was a homemaker, which was necessary because Brynhild was one of 8 children.
And I was too busy being impressed by your pronunciation to remember when you said she was born.
1859.
Okay, I knew this was a good old history one, but okay, thank you.
We're in
Thank
the mid 1800s.
Love it.
The family lived on a rented farm in Bygda in a tiny cottage. The farm was only 1 acre, so the family made what money they could by raising livestock, and Paul supplemented that with his stonemason work.
Did they have a lot of trailers on this 1 acre?
I
'Cause
bet you they
that's
did.
a lot compared to the half acre.
I bet you they
time.
did have a lot of trailers. The family was one of the poorest in the area, but they did what they could to get by, each helping when they could. Brynhild's usual task was to collect sticks in the woods for fire, as firewood was a luxury the family couldn't afford.
Jeez.
Kids at school bullied Brynhild and called her Snorkvispala, which means Paul's twig daughter, according to the book I read. Google Translate says it means spinning twig stake, so it could go either way.
I can't get over your pronunciation. That was so great.
Again, it's probably very wrong.
But it sounded great.
Thank you. I feel
You do
Norwegian.
you actually do really well with. That's because you like that cruise line.
It must be all the Norwegian cruises I've gone on. That's what it is.
You do really well with difficult. Well, for us, difficult pronunciation. You did really well in the German case.
Thank you.
Yeah, I just want to compliment that.
I appreciate
Again, no
it.
idea if it's correct or not. But
If you're from Norway, can you please tell me how bad my pronunciations are? Okay, thank you. Bye. At 14, Brynhild began working at a local dairy farm to help support her family, but the Storsets always seemed to be on the poverty line, needing welfare on occasion. When Brynhild was 17 years old in 1877, rumor had it that she became pregnant by the son of the landowners of the farm her family occupied. The family could have forced a marriage to make the situation right, as a child out of wedlock was a big no-no in the 1800s.
Yep.
But Brynhild was low class and apparently didn't look the part of a high class wife. Harold Schechter, author of Hell's Princess, The Mystery of Belle Gunness, Butcher of Men. I mean,
I love it.
Butcher of Men's really
I
in
love
there.
it.
Said that she was a notably unlovely young woman with a large head, small eyes, short nose, and a wide, fat-lipped mouth that, when set into a frown, bore resemblance to a frog's.
That's awful.
That's
so
mean.
Creative.
It's
But
mean.
mean.
Yeah. So
Yikes.
that really paints a word picture
It
for you.
does. It very much does.
The father wanted nothing to do with Brynhild or the child, and again, more gossip, but after a country dance that both Brynhild and the father attended, Brynhild miscarried after she was assaulted at the dance.
Oh my God.
And that was basically Brynhild's villain origin story.
Yeah. I can't blame her.
Yeah. Given her poor upbringing and experience with the locals, Brynhild became obsessed with money and dreamed of a life beyond the small farm. She began saving her money, and in 1881, she left for the United States. She had a 4-day journey to England before setting sail for America in unfathomable conditions. Food was scarce and mostly rotten, and the air smelled of stomach bile from the food poisoning and seasickness that turned the immigrants' stomachs.
Oh my God.
But Brynhild endured. She made it to her destination, Chicago, Illinois, where her sister Olena and her husband John Larson were already living. Chicago had become a hub for immigrants who were drawn to the city after it had been rebuilt following the Great Chicago Fire in 1871.
I believe I did that. Was it H.H. Holmes?
That's the
think
World
so.
Fair, too. It's probably
Yeah.
all around the same time.
I think that was like 1893.
Okay.
Yep.
We love us some 1800s.
I love it. Mm-hmm.
In 1881, more than 25,000 Norwegians immigrated to the U.S.
Wow. Jeez.
Olena now went by Nellie, and 22-year-old Brynhild took on the name Belle.
Okay.
In the beginning, Belle's life was little different than it was in Norway. She took small jobs, sewing and cleaning for little pay. Belle was a big woman in both stature and personality, and she didn't come to America to be a servant like she was in Norway. She wanted the American dream.
Get it.
Get it, girl. 3 years after moving to the U.S., Belle married fellow Norwegian immigrant Mads Ditlev Anton Sorensen wearing a black gown.
Okay.
I'm like, did you want to get married?
You can't wear white, right? Because she had gotten pregnant.
I thought customarily you wore red.
Really?
I think if you're not like a pure virgin.
I think it just isn't white.
Okay. But black
so
feels
black
very
is not white.
funeralish. You're right. You're right.
Listen and learn, friends.
Actually, no. Black is night.
White is all the colors. Black is the absence of color. I knew where you were going with that. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Instead, I just stopped making sentences. Okay. Mads was 30 years old at the time and worked as a security guard at a department store and then worked on the railroad. Belle wanted children with Mads, but was apparently unable to conceive. So she lavished attention on others' children and local orphans. She became...
That's an interesting statement to say that I know you're reading from what you got, but to say that she couldn't conceive because she already had gotten pregnant.
Oh, I know.
So I bet he could have been infertile. And I bet it's
Possible.
just common that they blamed the woman. I would just like to say that.
I think there's multiple things that could have happened. One could have been that her becoming pregnant was a rumor in the first place when she was...
But
younger.
she miscarried.
She miscarried, but again, it said this was all like town gossip.
Oh, true. Okay. All right. I guess
so
that's
it's
fair.
possible. It's possible that was just what it was, gossip. It's also possible, I think, that if she was assaulted and miscarried, it's possible that it impacted, damaged her reproductive organs.
Okay.
Or like you said, he could have just been shooting blanks. So
yeah, just
lots of options. Just gotta talk it all through. So she became obsessed with her 4-year-old niece, Nellie's daughter, Olga. Belle told Nellie that she wanted Olga to raise as her own. Nellie was like, no, this one's mine.
I feel like if I came over, I was like, I'd like your children.
I'd be like, yes, I will pack their bags immediately. You'll bring them back. Don't worry. You'll bring them back. That argument caused the sisters to be estranged for years, which I can imagine.
Yeah.
She was like, you're going to give me your daughter.
Yeah.
She's like, no, I'm going to keep this one. As fate would have it, in 1891, Belle's neighbors needed someone to adopt their 8-month-old baby, Jenny, as the mother was dying and the father was unable to care for her for whatever reason.
Sad.
Belle happily took in Jenny and loved her as her own. But during that time, Jenny's birth father, Anton, had remarried and gotten his life together. He fought Belle in court to get Jenny back, but Belle won the battle.
Yikes. That's upsetting for everyone involved.
It is. There's really no good outcome.
Yeah.
Although I will say Jenny's life would have been far different if she had made it back to her birth father. But we'll
she didn't
get to that.
You said she won. Yep.
Belle won. Belle and Mads struggled to make ends meet, but they always got by. They made and saved additional money by bringing in boarders to their home, including a doctor and a man named Peter Gunness. When Jenny was 3, Mads and Belle had saved enough money to buy their own business, a candy general store. Belle's American dream was coming true. But despite the store being in a great location, it failed to attract enough customers to keep it afloat right from the start. You have to be putting off some pretty hostile vibes to run a candy business into the ground in the 1800s, like when Chicago was flourishing.
Yep.
Especially if it was in prime real estate.
Yeah.
But anyways, Belle was sick thinking about falling back into poverty after they worked so hard to save for the store. But the universe provided for Belle in a way that we've seen before. One day, while Belle was working at the store with Jenny, she ran out yelling, "Fire! Fire!"
Oh, geez.
Unbelievably, the whole store burnt down, leaving nothing but ashes. Thankfully, Belle and Jenny were unharmed, and Belle told authorities that a kerosene lamp had just exploded.
Maybe a cow kicked it over.
Maybe. And the best news is that Mads and Belle had insurance on the store.
I assumed they didn't because that would just be too convenient. But, how wonderful.
They
for
had
them.
insurance. Yep. Insurance agents investigated and they were suspicious, but they couldn't prove it was arson. So Belle got her payday.
Wow.
Belle and Mads sold the store, or lack thereof, back to the original owners and closed that chapter of their lives.
They're like, here you go. Thank you very much.
They're like, here's
Goodbye.
your empty lot and goodbye. With money in their pockets, the Sorensens bought a 3-story house on Alma Street to have more space for their family. With more room came more children, likely adopted, given Belle's issues. The couple had Jenny, Caroline, Axel, Myrtle, and Lucy. But this was your face.
That's a crew.
That's a crew. But this was the late 1800s, and life could just be cruel. According to the book I read, Caroline died of bowel inflammation at only 5 months old, and Axel died of hydrocephalus, a buildup of cerebrospinal fluids in the brain, at just 3 months old.
Oh, that's heartbreaking.
But I did read in a couple articles that both children died of colitis, which I think is probably the same as in the book with Caroline with the bowel inflammation. But they have almost identical symptoms to poisoning.
Oh,
including nausea, fever, diarrhea, and GI pain.
I don't like it.
And again, thankfully, Belle had taken out insurance policies on her children shortly before their deaths.
Stop, little babies.
I know.
Why do you keep doing awful children dying? Stop.
I'm so sorry.
God.
Okay, would you see like Belle Gunness, Butcher of Men, and be like, yeah, she murdered a bunch of babies?
It's certainly possible.
They're all possible. Not
God.
I'm like Googling like baby murders, like just to torture you.
I think you are.
I'm so sorry.
You're not.
I'm a little sorry.
It's so sad.
It's very sad. Fucked up. And seriously, who takes out insurance policies like that?
And who even allows an insurance policy on a little baby?
I mean, actually, I guess I had Gerber life insurance. I still have Gerber life insurance for my kids.
Oh, do you?
I do. They're still alive. Trust me. If I was going to kill them for insurance fraud, it would have been a long time ago. They're safe. They're safe. My babies. I love my kids, guys. I like to joke about it a lot. They're difficult.
Wink, wink.
They're difficult.
Run a restaurant and you learn pretty quick. The sound of a crisp fry starts way before the first bite. As delivery and to-go keeps business booming,
Order for pickup.
McCain's SureCrisp fries keep orders crispy.
Hey, delivery.
After the trip, the crispiness comes through. McCain's SureCrisp fries. Go the distance. See how far our fries can take your business at surecrisp.com/delivery.
This message is sponsored by Greenlight. We all know the old saying about teaching a man to fish, and as parents, we want our kids to learn the things that will set them up for success. So this holiday season, give kids money skills that last well beyond 2024 with Greenlight. Greenlight is a debit card and money app made for families, where kids learn how to save, invest, and spend wisely with parental controls built in. Sign up today at greenlight.com/Spotify. Greenlight.com/Spotify.
In October 1897, it appeared the couple's luck had changed. A man named Angus Ralston, the chief engineer for the Yukon Mining and Trading Company, came knocking on Mads and Belle's door with the hopes that Mads would join their new mining venture in Alaska. Angus told Mads he would receive wages and a quarter interest in the mines for a year's worth of work. The company would also pay Belle $35 a month, which is about $1,200 in today's dollars, to keep the family afloat while Mads was away.
That sounds like a pretty good deal.
Yep.
Yeah.
Belle was thrilled at the idea of hitting it rich and urged Mads to jump at the opportunity. In exchange for a stake in this Alaskan venture, the couple just had to put up the deed to their house as collateral, which they did. Mads was supposed to start in Alaska April 1st, but that day would never come. It didn't take long for the two to realize they had been conned.
Oh, that's sad.
There was no pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. And worst of all, someone had bought the deed to their house out from under them. So if they wanted to keep their house, they owed $700 or about $25,000 in today's money within 2 years.
Oh my God.
Belle and Mads sued,
Yeah.
and they won.
Oh,
Okay. They kept their house and made it through the situation, but it was stressful and their marriage was officially on the rocks. Strained even more by their tenuous financial situation. Belle loved money above all else. And you know who had more money than her? Insurance companies.
Oh my God. So that's what you were Googling, was not dead babies. It was
Insurance fraud.
Okay.
Yep.
That checks out.
Yep.
Okay.
It's sort of my bread and butter now.
Yeah.
You know?
Right.
On April 10th, 1900, late in the day, Belle and Matt's home caught fire with them inside. Belle grabbed the children and ran to safety, screaming for help. No one was hurt, thankfully, and of course, the family had insurance. Mm-hmm. The fire was apparently caused by a faulty heating apparatus. That was the best that they could conclude. A little more than 3 months later, tragedy would strike the Sorensen family again.
God.
Your face. It's just.
I mean, I know this is a blood and feathers situation.
It's a lot. It's a lot. There's a lot going on at all times. On July 30th, 1900, Belle's husband Mads left for work as he always did, but soon returned home due to a bad headache. He began to quickly develop cold symptoms and grew weak.
Bye.
As he...
Sorry.
I thought at first you said ba, like a sheep, and I was like, my brain was like, I don't see the connection. Yeah, bye.
It's like mad cow disease.
Yeah, something like that. As he writhed in bed, moaning in pain, Belle prepared a mixture of water and quinine powder, which could cause vomiting and deliriousness. Mads continued to wail as Belle prepared dinner for the children before he eventually grew quiet. Belle took her time checking on Mads again and did not call for help until after midnight. More than one doctor ultimately came to check on Mads. They were stumped as to what could kill a seemingly healthy middle-aged man that quickly.
His wife.
Yeah. His PCP did say he was treating Mads for an enlarged heart. They considered if the pharmacist mixed up prescriptions. The doctors were not overly suspicious of the quinine powder, as that was commonly prescribed in the 1900s.
Is that...
I think it's for malaria.
You know what I was thinking of was Quaaludes.
I think that's the 1980s, not the
70s, 80s. Yeah, sorry about that. Okay,
Yeah,
it just
no,
started
I
with a
think-
Q, U, and...
Isn't quinine for like malaria, I think?
What do I know? I don't know. Okay.
Anyways, after an autopsy, an inquest was opened into his death. Belle was interviewed. Dramatic page turn. But the dramatics over the situation seemed genuine, so they ultimately concluded that he likely died from a cerebral or stomach hemorrhage. He was never checked for any poisoning.
Interesting.
You might be thinking, poor Belle. How will she care for the children? Did Mads have life insurance?
I doubt it. It doesn't seem on trend for her, so I don't think that that he would have.
Here's the best part. Mads had a $2,000 life insurance policy that was set to expire July 30th, 1900, the day that he died. There was a new policy worth $3,000 that took effect the same day. July 30th, 1990 was the only day that both policies overlapped and were in effect.
That can't. There has to be something in there that was like void if doubled. I don't know. What?
Mads just happened to die on July 30th, the only day that the policies overlapped. And Belle applied for the insurance money the day after his funeral.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
They always get you.
They get you. Well, no, they don't get her. She gets away with all of it. In 1901, Belle used some of the money to purchase a house on McClung Road. Shortly after purchasing the property, the boat and carriage houses caught fire and burned to the ground.
Oh my God. Come on.
Belle moved again and bought a new house in LaPorte, Indiana. Prior to Belle's ownership, the house was a brothel known locally as Mally Altick's Place. So Belle got a good deal on the home. The house was furnished with dark wood, had 5 marble fireplaces, and sat on 40 acres of land.
Jeez.
Plenty of room for trailers.
Yeah, so many trailers.
Belle began farming the land herself. She didn't need no man for business, but her bed was so empty and lonely.
And gross.
She ended up having a courtship with Peter Gunness, her former tenant. Peter was also widowed and a hard worker, 2 things in common that brought the pair together. The only difference was Peter didn't murder his wife.
Right.
She died giving birth to their second child when their first daughter, Swanhild, was only a toddler.
Sad.
Peter and Belle's courtship was brief, and they were married on April Fool's Day in 1902, but the joke was on Peter.
Oh, great line.
Just 5 days after marrying Belle, Peter's 7-month-old baby died from a buildup of fluid in her lungs. The official cause of death was edema of the lungs with no further investigation. Some of the neighbors were suspicious that Belle might have been involved. A local neighbor said they were at the house the day before the baby died, and the baby was happy and playing by the fire. They suspected that Belle may have strangled her by putting a washcloth over her face.
Jesus Christ.
Peter was distraught, and bizarrely, the baby wasn't buried near her mother. She was sent to Chicago and was buried near Belle's babies and her first husband, which is just weird.
Do you think Belle was like, just in case they want to like see anything, like they change their mind, you know?
Yeah,
she's
maybe
like, get her away.
Maybe.
That makes me sick.
Or, okay, assuming no nefarious intent on Belle's part, maybe she was like, I lost babies too. They should all be together.
I am assuming all of the nefarious intent with
I think
Belle.
that's fair.
Yeah.
I think that's fair. The black cloud of death and misfortune seemed to follow Belle everywhere she went.
She has it on a leash. That's why.
8 months later, in mid-December 1902, the Gunness neighbors were woken up by 12-year-old Jenny banging on their door. She was clutching an iron poker in her hand and said that they needed to come help because her father had fallen and burned himself. The neighbors ran to the house and found Belle wailing at the kitchen table with Peter dead in the parlor surrounded by blood. Peter had a bad injury to his nose and a wound to the back of his head. Belle was questioned, and she cobbled together a confusing tale with missing pieces. She said that Peter had been hit in the head with a heavy sausage grinder that fell from the shelf in the kitchen next to the stove when he went to go get his slippers.
Okay. I thought she was going to say fell from my hands.
No. That's
Okay.
it's too much information. I'm like, so what had happened was...
Yeah, really.
That caused him to knock over brine that was cooling on the stove, and that burned his neck and back.
Okay.
Belle felt the injury seemed bad, but Peter said that he was fine and then went to the parlor and died.
Oh, okay. And that's when he hurt his nose.
Belle offered no explanation as to how he hurt his face, ended up face down and deceased.
Jeez.
And those who checked Peter at the scene also noticed that his body was stiff with rigor mortis already beginning to set in. The whole situation was bizarre, to say the least, so an autopsy was performed by Dr. Bowell. Despite Belle's claims, there was no evidence of burns anywhere on the body. Peter's nose was lacerated and broken, showing evidence of severe blows or the result of falling upon a blunt article, such as the edge of a board.
Yikes.
The bloody head wound was caused by a laceration through the scalp and external layer of skull about an inch long, situated just above and to the left of the occipital protuberance. Oh, yes, the occipital protuberance.
Is that your eye?
Yeah, like the
Your
that
eye
part
socket?
Yeah, something like that. A deeper look revealed a fracture and depression of the inner plate of the skull at a point corresponding to the external laceration. And there was also marked intracranial hemorrhage.
Yeah, well, yeah. Yep.
Given the findings, the coroner decided to do an inquest again, and Belle was questioned by the doctor and his clerk. Belle repeated again that the meat grinder fell and knocked him on the back of his head, also causing him to scald himself with brine. The ever-doting wife, she cared for his burns with water and baking soda so they wouldn't blister. She said his head wound was bleeding, but not much. Peter was more concerned that his hair wouldn't grow back. Belle wouldn't leave his side, and she said he began to become delirious with the pain from his head, which is why she sent Jenny out for help. The doctor asked Belle how he broke his nose, and she said she didn't know and didn't even notice. Despite his nose being so broken it twisted to the side, according to Belle, it never even bled. The doctor gave Belle an out, saying, "Do you think it's possible that someone snuck in and attacked Peter, that this was murder?" Belle denied it. She said she would have heard someone. Jenny regurgitated her mother's version of events to Dr. Bowell, and her neighbor was adamant that there was no funny business going on in the house, that the couple were as in love as the day that they married. However, Jenny was overheard on a playground telling a friend that Belle murdered her stepdad,
Oh my
Peter.
God. That's insane that she even went along with it at all. Like, you know, knowing that that's what happened.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
But I mean, if she was a good mom to her, like you wouldn't want her mom to get in, like she wouldn't want her mom to get in trouble.
I guess not. But I mean, if she murdered, I guess but it's her stepdad. Okay. Not her dad. I see.
Right,
So
yeah.
she cares less. I
Yes.
see. Yeah. Okay.
You know, and you just, that's what you talk about on the playground, you know, just murder
the happenings
in your house.
Yeah.
The happenings in your house.
You know?
Peter was buried on December 19th, 1902 on the Gunness farm. During the services, Belle wailed, but there were no tears to match her anguished cries. With nothing substantial to cling to, the inquest came to an end shortly after the burial. Dr. Bowell concluded, after having examined the body and heard the evidence, we so find it that the deceased came to his death by the accidental falling of the auger part of the sausage mill, falling from the heating shelf of the cook stove in his kitchen and striking him on the back of the head. The impact of said auger part of the sausage mill causing fracture to the skull and intracranial hemorrhage resulting in death.
I wonder how many murders are just completely unknown in 70s as being a wild time. But back in this time, like, they had so little evidence to go on and, like, you know, just no information, that this is only the ones that people were like a little suspicious of and then still couldn't prove. Imagine all the ones that people just like genuinely thought people died naturally. You know?
I cannot even imagine.
Did you become Scottish?
I cannot.
I
I cannot imagine how many people were murdered.
Right?
And to get away with it, you just walked away into like a new town and you just pulled out a fake paper and you were like,
literally, yeah.
I'm Amy Smith now.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
just, yeah, I did. Yeah.
So, anyway, so you would agree.
It's making me speechless. Okay. The official finding didn't stop the rumors in the town about Belle, now twice widowed.
Yeah.
Women dissatisfied with their husbands would sometimes joke about dropping meat grinders on their spouses' heads.
My God.
Peter's brother Gust, Goost. It could be Goost. Okay, Goost. Heard of his brother's death and traveled to the Gunness farm to check on his niece. Remember Swanhild? Worried for her safety.
Yeah.
His niece was the sole beneficiary of Peter's $2,500 life insurance policy.
Oh, bye.
But the money was nowhere to be found.
Oh.
Goost didn't trust Belle, and he took off one night under the cover of darkness with his niece in tow.
Because the payout had already come out. I see what you're saying.
And they couldn't find it.
Yep. Ooh.
I wonder where it was.
Yeah, really.
Yeah. Belle was down a stepchild, but much to everyone's surprise, there was a new child at Gunness Farm. If Belle had been pregnant with her late husband's child, no one knew it. Belle called a midwife to help with her labor, but when the midwife arrived, the baby was already bathed and dressed.
Okay.
They're like, maybe she stole him. Sweet Philip was a questionable newborn, and there were rumors that he was adopted or stolen.
Yeah.
But the rumors didn't have teeth, and no one actually looked into it.
Again, how are you going to prove it?
No,
you
can't. Like, for all they know, she could have gone and murdered an entire family and took the baby, and then you just never.
And if that family didn't have a lot of other family and they were like out on a farm, like nobody would even know.
It's crazy. For all of her social shortcomings with her husbands and adults, no one ever said that Belle wasn't a loving mother to her children. Yet.
You're killing me.
Things were quiet on the farm for some time until Belle got into a snafu with her neighbors over cattle. Her cows had wandered onto the property of the Dieslins and eaten their grass. They demanded compensation from Belle, and when she wouldn't pay, they locked up one of her cows in their barn as collateral.
That seems fair.
In retaliation, Belle shepherded all of the Dieslins' cows onto her property and demanded $50 in damages before she'd return the cattle.
Oh my God.
The neighbor's argument was heated, and it ended in Belle threatening to kill him.
Oh my God.
It reminds me of Dane Cook. I'll fucking kill you. Let's go back.
It reminded me when she's like, I'll steal your cows. How your daughter just before this was like, I'm going to see if Santa's naughty.
Oh, and then I'm going to tell him he gets no presents.
We were like, actually, that's really smart. Good.
Flip the script. That's what you said. Flip the script.
Don't tell me, I'll tell you.
Any lingering relationships Belle had with the neighbors was destroyed by her rage that they were all just trying to separate her from her precious money. So Belle kept to herself and continued to work the land on her own to make as much money as possible until she decided she could try to seek help from an out-of-town farmhand. Belle advertised for a farmhand in a Norwegian language newspaper that ran in Chicago, likely trying to appeal to fellow immigrants. I've read 2 versions of the advertisement. Both may be real. I'm not sure. I seriously saw it both ways in so many articles. So I've included both.
Okay.
The first one said, wanted, A woman who owns a beautifully located and valuable farm in first-class condition wants a good and reliable man as partner in same. Some little cash is required and will be furnished first-class security. Signed, BG.
Okay.
The other posting, which is more infamous, if you will, said, personal, comely widow who owns a large farm in one of the finest districts in LaPorte County, Indiana, desires to make the acquaintance of a gentleman equally well provided with view of joining fortunes. No replies by letter considered unless sender is willing to follow answer with personal visit. Triflers need not apply.
Wow. I want to put that in my email signature.
Triflers need not apply. So that's the sci-fi article. I think it starts with triflers need not apply. And that's like a famous.
I like it.
That's like what comes up when you search her.
Yep.
But I also saw the other posting. Yeah. So maybe it was 2 newspapers.
Yeah.
Maybe she
it's
did
probably
both.
Been translated and translated and translated. Yeah. Yep.
But triflers need not apply.
That's amazing.
Triflers be trifling.
Yep.
For many men, many men, the offer seemed too good to be true. But they made the journey anyways. John Moe of Minnesota brought lumps of cash to woo Belle. But strangely, John went missing after his visit. Early in 1904, the ad caught the eye of Olaf Lindboe, an immigrant in his 30s who was relatively new to America. He was hired by Belle to help her work the land, but he soon words are really hard. But he soon found his way into her bed as well. There were no wedding bells, though, because Olaf vanished into thin air.
It's kind of, if you get past the whole murder part, it's kind of brilliant because they're not talking to one another. Nobody knows, nobody knows.
Luring them to the farm and murdering them.
And taking all their money.
Yep.
Oh my God.
Yep. Goods and money.
Yeah.
Yep.
All their goods.
All their goods. Next came a Henry Gerholt, another Norwegian immigrant who arrived in the spring of 1905. Henry, too, found his way into Belle's bed before allegedly leaving for a change of scenery, bestowing all of his possessions, including a thick fur coat, to Belle.
Okay, so we know, obviously, she's very guilty of all these things, so I'm not spoiling anything. How on earth do we know these accounts? Like, is this her account that we know that all these people, like, made it into her bed? Like, how do we know that?
So I think some of them were recovered.
Okay.
Later on.
Okay.
And then I think a lot of people were attributed to her because they were, there were family members that were like, my uncle is missing. He answered an ad to go to LaPorte, Indiana, never came back.
But that's just the murder part. But I mean, like, the details of, like, that they, like, slept together and all that.
Oh.
Like, she must have said that, or are they just assuming? Because obviously the men are not giving that information.
That's true.
Unless they wrote letters at some point to
maybe they're taking
family.
Artistic license.
Yeah, I always wonder that. Like, unless somebody, like, sings like a canary. What do you do?
Yeah, you sing like a canary.
In prison, then otherwise, how would you know if everyone else is dead? That's what I always wonder.
Wow, that's a valid point.
Yeah,
I wasn't thinking about it from their point of view.
Well,
either that or there are later men that do survive to tell a tale.
So maybe she told them or something.
Or they're just assuming it was a common pattern.
Yeah. Yep. Okay.
Could go either way.
That's sufficient. Thank you.
Anyways, maybe there were like 2 other books I didn't read, so maybe they were in there.
The information is in the book.
Damn it. Okay. When Belle hired 19-year-old Emil Greening to do some of the extra work around the farm, he took notice of Belle's daughter right away. Emil and Jenny grew close, spending all of their free time sharing secrets in the privacy of the barn or listening to Emil's brother play the Gunness family's piano. In the winter of 1906, Emil couldn't find Jenny. Belle told him that Jenny had suddenly moved away to go to a finishing school without saying goodbye. No one ever saw her again.
Oh, no. Oh.
Emil did get letters from Jenny, although all the letters were received by and read to him by Belle.
Of course they were.
Yeah. Belle's like, I have another letter. Let me read it to you. Do you want it? No, you can't have it.
The ink's still wet. Sorry.
Yeah, pretty much.
Oh, my God. That's awful.
Yeah. So that's what I said. She was good to her kids until she wasn't. Yeah. Ray Lamphere was one of the last to arrive to Gunness Farm in 1907. Ray was a heavy drinker and a gambler, hobbies known to cost him up to $1,000 in today's money in a single night.
Oof.
That's a crazy night.
Yep.
His bad habits did nothing to deter Belle from bringing him to her bed. Ray was thrilled and bragged to his drinking buddies that he was going to wed her, bed her, and take over the farm. While Ray was dreaming of his future with Belle, she was in a long-distance pen pal relationship with another man, Andrew Helgelian, a 49-year-old South Dakotan wheat farmer. Andrew was the picture of rugged masculinity to Belle, and he was hardened by a 10-year stint in a Red Wing, Minnesota prison for robbery and arson.
Jeez.
She's like, that's my kind of man.
Exactly right up my alley.
Andrew was not as easily swayed into Belle's life, which is why they had an extended courtship. She wrote him love letters. One such letter said, "To the dearest friend in the world, no woman in the world is happier than I am. I know that you are now to come to me and be my own. I can tell from your letters that you are the man I want. It does not take one long to tell when to like a person, and you I like better than anyone in the world. I know. Think how we will enjoy each other's company. You, the sweetest man in the whole world. We will all be alone. We will be all alone with each other. Can you conceive of anything nicer? I think of you constantly. When I hear your name mentioned, and this is when one of the dear children speaks of you, or I hear myself humming it with the words of an old love song, it is beautiful music to my ears. My heart beats in wild rapture for you. My Andrew, I love you. Come prepared to stay forever." Oh, such beautiful words.
Yeah. She really meant them. Yeah, that's so perfect.
Belle's love letter successfully got Andrew to Gunness Farm on January 3rd, 1908. Belle approached Ray, who thought he was Belle's only lover, and told him to move out of his room that now belonged to Andrew. Around January 14th, Belle and Andrew headed to the bank to deposit nearly $3,000, a total sum that would have been worth around $75,000 today.
Yeah. Also, I forgot we were doing a podcast. I've been like leaning closer and closer over the table away from the microphone.
You're like,
I'm just,
tell
like,
me
listening
more.
to this story.
Tell me more. That's pretty much how this podcast started.
Yeah,
so
it is.
I'm glad we're still in it for the love of murder.
Yes.
Presumably the money was to invest in land based on Belle's letters.
Okay.
Soon thereafter, Andrew went missing, if you could believe it.
Shocker.
Like the others.
Yeah.
But this is another case where the murderer didn't account for family. Not long before his departure to Indiana, Andrew had told his brother, Asla Helgelian, that he planned to come back after a week. I had to pause I gave myself a little pronunciation key. I had to look that one up because I thought it was Azel. It's Asle.
That's fair.
Azel. Yeah, no, it's Asla.
Okay.
Anyways, the two Helgelian brothers were particularly close, and Asla soon managed to piece together where Andrew had gone after finding his considerable stash of unsettling love letters. Asla was cordial at first, sending Belle a letter asking where Andrew went. On March 27th, Belle sent back a frustratingly unhelpful response. She said, "You wish to know where your brother keeps himself. Well, this is just what I would like to know, but it almost seems impossible for me to give a definite answer. He was going to make a search for him in Chicago and New York. He always thought that the brother had gone to Norway, and he would go after him. He said that I shouldn't write until I again heard from him. Since then, I have neither heard or seen anything of him. Now, this is all I can say to you about the matter. I have waited every day to hear something of him." So that's very circular.
Yep.
She writes letters about where he went like my daughter tells me sentences.
That's very true. Well, it could have been condensed into about one, maybe two words.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Asla was suspicious of Belle, and the rest of his letters to Belle went unanswered. He decided that he needed to take matters into his own hands and pay Belle a visit. In the meantime, Belle was stirring up additional drama with Ray, who had remained on the farm while Belle paraded her many suitors. He was fired as of February 1908, and him and Belle got into a heated battle over wages he claimed that he was owed. Joe Maxon, the newest farmhand, went about his business while Belle and Ray were at each other's throats.
But you would have, to us, we know this happened like 10 people before that, but to them, it's just the two, maybe three.
Right.
Ray knows about two other people.
Right.
You don't realize how insane she is.
And honestly, I feel like with farmhands, I mean, I watch Yellowstone and lots of people get, murdered. Spoiler alert. But I feel like with farmhands, you probably had people come and go, like drifters looking for day work. And so if you didn't have any suspicions of her and you were like, oh, he's gone, I'm done with him. You'd be like, okay.
This was the early 1900s. I'm thinking they were thinking, no, it's a woman, whatever. Like I'm fine. I don't need to worry. I'm a man, whatever.
Yeah.
So anyway.
Ray hired an attorney, which only made things worse. Belle, enraged, went to the local sheriff and reported that Ray was mentally unwell. She convinced authorities that he was unstable and delusional, and a sanity hearing was scheduled. I know, Finney's upset about it too.
I know. I don't know that you can hear him. He's not in this room, but we can hear him. Yep.
Dr. Bowell, who had performed Peter Gunness's autopsy, said that Ray was a nervous guy, but he was sane. Belle tried again, reporting to the authorities that Ray was stalking her and had showed up to her farm again. She had him arrested for trespassing. Belle told those around her that she feared Ray would harm her and her family. She said he even threatened to burn her house down.
How convenient. Foreshadowing.
Belle was scared enough to update her will, leaving everything to her children, and even went and paid off her mortgage. It's almost like she had a sense that something bad was about to happen. They can definitely hear him now.
Finney was like, oh, you can't hear me? Here I am.
Let me come down there. On the evening of April 28th, 1908, Belle's farmhand, Joe Maxon, woke to the smell of smoke.
I knew it.
And he panicked.
I knew it.
He called out to Belle and the children, but he didn't hear any response. He threw on his clothes and ran to the door to the main part of the house, but the door wouldn't budge. Joe Maxon had managed to escape and was running around screaming. He found an axe and ran back to the house, hacking away at the door. Aww. When the door finally gave...
I shouldn't have said it. I should have just let him exist in the other room.
When the door finally gave, it revealed a curtain of fire that could not be bypassed. The man decided they'd need to enter from the second floor, but the roof was already on fire by the time he got a ladder.
Well, and all these houses were tinder boxes, not boxes.
Yes.
At this, like everything was made of wood, and everything. Yes. It just everything went up in flames very easily.
Did they have real roofs? Roofs? Is it roofs?
Are you looking for the word thatched? Are you wondering if they were thatched roofs?
Was it straw?
I knew that's where you were going. That is a real roof.
Is it roof also, or roofs? What is it? I can't think of Finny.
Roofs. It's roofs. I would have said that confidently prior to this evening, but I'm like, all right, hoof is hooves. Okay. You know what? If you're not a Patreon member and listening to our Peabodies, I just want to tell you this is what most of them are like.
Yeah, we don't edit ourselves as much.
We really try to keep ourselves together for the regular episodes, but you get us, you get the cats who just ran in the room. This is what you get in a Peabody. So anyway, Patreon bonus episode.
I'm feeling uneducated in this moment. Do you think the roof was made of straw?
No. Okay. No, I don't. But I
still think it burnt.
I think everything was wood, dry wood.
Yes. Okay. We're on. Okay. When the
I just have my head in my hands.
Okay.
We'll get there.
When the fire was finally out, volunteers arrived with buckets of water and tools to poke through the charred remains. It took hours for them to uncover the bodies of the family.
I was really hoping it just appeared that they were in there.
No.
Oh, no.
All 4 bodies of the Gunness family were found huddled together. The 3 children and Belle. But something was missing. Belle's head.
What?
The female body that was found with the 3 children was headless.
What?
They searched the ashes and the wreckage, but they could not find her head.
Okay, I'm so disturbed. I'm like half laughing because we were just like laughing about whatever things that are funny, but I'm actually very disturbed because I'm still just thinking of those poor children in this situation, and then that's just disturbing me because I'm assuming because I was like, oh, maybe I didn't think Belle died in this way, and now I'm like, oh, she definitely didn't. But those poor children.
I know.
Oh God.
I'm sorry.
I really hate it.
So many children die in this case. I didn't even realize, as I was writing it. I'm so sorry. Finney's really upset about it too.
I know, Finney. Where is he? There you go. You want a microphone, buddy?
Okay. The authorities suspected arson, and their main suspect was Ray. When they found him, he said, Did those 3 children and the woman get out of the building? The police asked how he knew about the fire, and he said, I saw smoke coming out of the windows and around the roof. I didn't think it was any of my business. I was afraid I'd be blamed for starting the fire. Oh. Ray could do nothing to convince them of his innocence, and he was charged with 4 counts of murder and arson.
Poor Ray, but also terrible answer. We know that it wasn't, but now I wonder, he wasn't, I don't know. I'll let you just tell the story.
Okay.
Sorry.
While many suspected Ray of the most heinous crimes, others were suspicious that Belle, who had quite the history with arson, was not the body found in the ashes.
Especially given that it had no head.
Correct. Several neighbors from town came to the Gunness farm to view the headless remains, and all confirmed that it could not have been Belle. Doctors got involved and measured the remains, of course accounting for the fact that the corpse was headless. And they estimated that the corpse was that of a 5'3" woman who weighed no more than 150 pounds. Locals swore that Belle was at least 5'8" and weighed anywhere between 180 and 200 pounds. Authorities were able to find Belle's exact measurements from a local store where Belle purchased apparel.
Okay, now that's the kind of 1900s investigative
police work.
Yes, that's what I want to hear.
Yep. Love it. Once they compared the measurements, they concluded that the woman could not have possibly been Belle.
Not even close. Okay.
Nope.
Okay.
A doctor also examined what was left of the internal organs in the alleged Belle corpse and found lethal doses of strychnine.
Oh, that's rat poison, right?
Isn't that arsenic?
I don't know. Maybe.
It's poison.
Yes,
I don't know if
definitely.
It's specifically rat poison.
You hear that, Finny? Just kidding.
But if it wasn't Belle, where was she? And whose body was that? Belle's dentist, Ira Norton, said if her head was found, he could review her dental records and confirm the identity of her corpse.
Yep.
After authorities hired a miner to more efficiently sift through the home debris, on May 19th, 1908, they uncovered a bridge with 2 human canines, porcelain teeth, and gold crown work.
A
bridge. Oh, sorry. A mouth bridge.
I was off on a bridge with dogs is where I was.
A dental
with
bridge.
That sentence. Okay.
Nope, a dental bridge.
Okay.
And the Dr. Norton looked at it and identified that as belonging to Belle. He had done that dental work on her.
What?
With teeth in hand, the coroner officially concluded that it was Belle's body found in the fire, even though her skull was never recovered. And I don't know, even though like that type of dental work can come out of your mouth.
Well, I was going to say, of all things to find, you find the thing that can come out. Okay.
Yeah.
I was with them on their investigation until that point.
But I mean, they don't really have any, like, what are they going to say? They don't have any other information. They could leave the case open, but
That's
for what?
probably what I would have done, I guess, to know that you have like a mass murderer out there, you know?
They don't know that yet.
That's true.
They're getting
only
there.
know. Yeah.
They're getting there. While Ray was dealing with his legal issues, Asla Helgelian, Andrew's brother, came to LaPorte and met with Sheriff Albert Smutzer, or Smutzer, if you will, and was like, I think Belle had something to do with my brother's disappearance.
Yes.
The sheriff also spoke to Joe Maxon to look into this a little bit. He was the current farmhand at the time of the fire. And Joe said that Belle had recently had him bring loads of dirt to a large area surrounded by fencing where the hogs were fed. Belle had told Joe that she recently buried large amounts of garbage, as one does, as evidenced by several depressions in the ground. And Joe's job was to fill in the gaps to level out the earth again.
Not
so
suspicious
he did.
at all.
No.
Not suspicious at all.
I mean, who doesn't bury their garbage?
Right. And then have hogs go and eat that, whatever, live on top of it. I don't know. I was thinking of feeding bodies to hogs is where my mind was at.
I think there's something exactly. That happened.
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah.
Who was the lady that fed her husband to the tigers? Allegedly.
Oh, the Tiger King lady. Yeah.
Can't think of her name.
What's her name?
Can't think of it.
Okay.
Carol.
Yes.
Baskins?
Yes.
Wow.
That brings me back to COVID.
Even a broken clock is right twice a day. Okay, folks. You heard it here first. Allegedly, by the way. Allegedly.
Yes.
fed her. Just rumors.
Yes.
The rumor mill. It's bad. Bad. So authorities went to this hog pen and they began to dig. They quickly unearthed the remains of Jenny Olsen, identified by the skirt she was wrapped in.
Oh.
They also found the bodies of 2 unidentified children, as well as the body of Asla's brother, Andrew. Jeez. The more they dug, the more bodies they found. The hog pen was a graveyard of dismembered bodies whose lives were taken at the hands of Hell's Belle. Despite the fact that Belle was clearly deranged, Ray was still on the hook for murder and arson.
Right.
Ray was put on trial in November 1908 at the LaPorte County Courthouse and found guilty of arson, but not of murder.
Okay. But, I was wondering, though, because, like, he did have a sketchy response to that of, like, I kind of saw there was smoke and maybe I won't go. So I was wondering if maybe he was involved at, like, helped coordinate this in some way.
I think ultimately, if I had to guess, first of all, the jury wasn't convinced that Belle was dead.
Yeah. That would be reasonable doubt, I would think. There'd be some doubt there.
Yeah. Second of all, I mean, this is questionable, your intent, if you set fire to a house in the middle of the night when everybody's sleeping. But I think that they were basically saying that, like, Ray had such a heated relationship with her and he was so frustrated with her and he, had the falling out with Andrew coming in and everything that, like, he did commit the arson to get back at her, but never intended for anyone to die.
Okay.
I think he felt really bad. And that's why when the authorities showed up, he's like, did they get out? So,
but then that doesn't make sense. This is why I think he and she might have been in cahoots, because how else could the body have been there if it wasn't her? Like, she would have had to have known he was going to light the house on fire to know to put the body in there. So I think there's something sketchier going on, assuming it's not her.
True, but I still think probably whatever was presented to the jury, they may just think he didn't intend for anybody to die, but he did intend to burn the house down.
Okay, all right.
That's my thought.
Yeah.
Ray was sentenced to 2 to 21 years in prison and was fined $5,000. I don't know how they'd be sentencing back there.
$5,000 in early 1900s money?
He's never going to pay that.
Yeah.
He's never going to pay that.
That'd be a lot now.
They're like, okay, so maybe 2 years or maybe 2 decades. It could go either way.
But either way, your life savings.
Yeah. Ray died a little more than a year after his trial had begun. He died on December 10th, 1909. And while in prison, there were no confessions from Ray. He maintained that Belle was a mad woman.
Yeah. Yep.
He said that she poisoned her suitors with their morning cup of coffee and would then split their heads like she did to Peter. She'd then haul the men to the basement and butcher their bodies.
Yep.
Ray said that some bodies were fed to the hogs, but others were buried. He said when Belle felt like Andrew's family was onto her, she smothered her children, packed up all the money she took from those she murdered, and fled.
Oh, I didn't even think about the idea that maybe the children were dead before the fire. That makes a lot more sense. Why did Ray know all of this and survive, though?
I don't know.
See, I think he was a co-conspirator. I think so. That's my opinion.
It's really hard because in the 1800s, it's a lot of word of mouth. Like early 1900s.
True. But I think so. Based on these words of mouths, I think that Ray was a co-conspirator. Or because how would he have survived?
See, I don't think he was a co-conspirator because she was so pissed at him. She tried to get him. She tried to get him declared insane.
But why didn't she just kill him? Like everybody else.
That I don't know. Maybe because he wasn't living on the farm anymore.
Oh, yeah, and she couldn't poison his coffee. Maybe that's true. But now you've got me wondering if the children were dead before the fire, because then that would have made more sense, and she just staged the whole thing.
Possibly.
You would think they could figure that out, though, at that point, whether they were dead or not before the fire.
I don't know if their remains are like charred. Really charred.
Okay.
Then it's difficult. Oh, it's so sad.
Yeah.
He claimed that the body found in the ashes was a woman from Chicago who'd been promised a job by Belle.
That sounds accurate.
Yep. And with his final breath, he swore that Belle Gunness was still alive and living as a man somewhere in Chicago.
Brilliant.
Over the years, there were many reports of Belle sightings, but none of them proved to be true.
Wow. And like you said, she probably just went to another city and was like, yep, she probably didn't even have to change into a man. She could have just been her and just in a different city who didn't even hear about any of this. You know?
Yep.
Jeez.
Crazy.
Wow.
14 deaths were linked to Belle, but some suspect that she was responsible for as many as 40 deaths.
Oh my God.
And that's based on people being like, my family member went to LaPorte, Indiana around this time and never came back.
Yikes.
The following individuals were identified as being victims to Hell's Bell. Mads Sorensen, Peter Gunness, Olaf Lindboe, Henry Gerholt, Andrew Helgelian, George Barry, Christian Hickvin, Emil Tell, Old Budsworth, John Moe, Olaf Svenherud, and Jenny Olsen.
So sad.
I
Is
know.
Jenny the one that she
was the 8-month-old,
right,
and then she fought for her,
So
and then
sad.
she killed her. So if
sad.
Jenny's dad had been successful
Yeah.
in getting her back, she probably would have lived out her life.
And he must, because she wasn't that old, he would have known. He probably would have heard about that.
Right.
Maybe. I don't know. Oh, that's so sad.
Yeah, I don't know what the news system
that's why I
was
said
in
maybe.
the 1900s. I didn't
Yeah.
research that.
The printing press was in the 1800s. Yeah, anyway.
Okay. So that is the wild tale
Damn.
of Belle Gunness, the female lady Bluebeard, butcher of men.
Wow.
It reminds me of the Game of Thrones, where it's like Daenerys Targaryen, first of her
Yes,
name,
yes.
keeper of dragons, like that.
Yeah, it reminds me of that too.
But far more sinister.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
anyways.
Damn.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't know what I was in for with this
I
case.
know, it was wild. I like started it and was like, meh. And then like I fixed my notes. I was like, nah, this
Yeah.
story's fucking wild.
It's crazy. Crazy.
A lot of insurance fraud. She never got caught for insurance fraud. Isn't that
They
crazy?
failed us. They failed us.
They did. I'm disappointed.
They were busy with all the other ones.
If you're enjoying listening to Grimm, please rate and follow us wherever you listen to podcasts to make sure you don't miss any episodes. If you listen to us on Apple Podcasts, make our day by leaving us a written review. You can find our page on Facebook by searching Grimm: a true crime podcast. If you want to subscribe to our Patreon, you can go to Patreon and search Grimm: a true crime podcast. If subscriptions aren't your thing, which is totally cool, you can buy us a coffee or a Celsius or wine at buymeacoffee.com/grimmcrimepodcast. If you donate $5 or more, we'll send the first 200 donors a 4-inch Grimm die cut sticker, which is pretty sweet. And just remember, you have to actually tell me where you live and where to send it so I can send it to you. Yeah. Follow us on Instagram at Grimm Crime Podcast for information on future episodes and case photos to see the lovely Belle Gunness with the frog mouth. If you want to send us a case suggestion or just say hi, you can email us at grimcrimepodcast@gmail.com. Listen, learn, and stay alive until next time, because the future is grim.